Lebbeus Woods, who lived between 1940 and 2012, was an American architect, artist, theoretician, and educator. His father was an Air Force officer involved in the development and testing of the atomic bomb, dying at the age of 52 from leukemia, probably due to radiation poisoning. Woods says, until his father's death, he spent his free time reading, drawing, hanging out around jet aircraft and their pilots. His architectural work remained mostly in writing, drawings, and models, yet has been influential in many fields. Some may remember that he was hired as conceptual architect for the movie Alien 3, but his work was not used. Later, he received a large settlement from the director of the 12 Monkeys movie for unauthorized use of his work, a Gemini. Radical Reconstruction's focus is on sketching a theory from an architectural perspective, considering the conditions of existence resulting from destruction initiated by nature or by humans. Published in 1997, the theories here are discussed over the case studies of Sarajevo, Havana, and San Francisco. Woods says the crisis can be first and best met at the peripheries and not at the core. The core tends to disguise the crisis, and the peripheries are usually more neglected by authority. Therefore, the crises are better revealed there. Woods says crises arise when different things meet, but with consumerism and controlling with pleasure, we are pushed to become similar, hide our individualities, so we are pacified and lose our creativity. There are always people who will come to inhabit the difficult spaces. They are the people of crisis, pushed usually unwillingly to confrontation with limits. Borderline cases of every sort: adventurers, criminals, inventors, con artists, opportunists, people who cannot or have not been allowed to fit in elsewhere. He says, therefore, they transform crisis into advantage, and consequently, the initiative for transformation cannot be expected to come from governments and corporations. He proposes the injection of new structures into the spaces of destruction, and these do not fit neatly in and require creativity to inhabit, acquiring meaning only with habitation. He uses the metaphor of wound, proposing the ideas of scab and scar for the formation of these injections. The constructs in his drawings look so much like piles of rubble that I had the sense, deep inside, he was striving for something indestructible. What difference does it make to bomb a pile of rubble? Would that give any satisfaction to a destroyer? How can you cause chaos in something that is already in a state of chaos? He says we know orthogonally framed buildings will fail, and we still build them. The reasons are several, he says, including those that can only be assigned to the realms of psychopathology, especially that concerned with the psychodynamics of denial. One excuse seems to be that it is economical to build with industry standards. However, what about the massive costs arising after earthquakes and such? And this orthogonal thinking is so ingrained in society, and it is such a homogenizer that it is not challenged. So Sisyphus carries his stone back up the hill, rebuilds again after yet another collapse. Massive destruction makes it impossible to disguise the forces that are always in action, invisible at times of relative peace and normalcy. In that sense, Woods also says there is always war. Extreme conditions are transformative and opportunities for growth and progress. Woods suggests that when the normal is disrupted and overall meaning is lost, life cannot be taken as a whole, but only as a collection of the idiosyncratic, the fragmentary, the ephemeral, the isolated, the unique. Therefore, the need for expression becomes redundant and invention is necessary. Nietzsche quote here, "The mythless man stands eternally hungry." Woods proposes that the reconstruction must not rebuild the old, but also not forget the lost. A dynamic stability is the new aim, as opposed to the passive stability of the old. This is a paradox that is often not acknowledged. There is in our lives both creation and destruction, and the architect is a designer of space, not of living. Function following form would not explain this. The architect needs to reconsider his relation to program. Woods' propositions may seem impossible, utopian, or dystopic, but to me their value resides in the possible transformation of our perspective, however small. He does not suggest total chaos, but the providing of breathing space for chaos. He searches for the structuring of multiplicity without resorting to hierarchical tactics. but with exploring heterarchical indeterminacies. And in the afterword by Michael Menser, the mentioning of the metaphor of seeing all this as dance, and not as conflict roach war, is a concept I encountered some 20 years ago, and have been in search for its origin almost ever since. So I will be reading some Brockman, Goodwin, and Gould. Woods's theories presented here are more crystallized and developed in his slow manifesto. However, this book includes many drawings from his incredible collection.